Yeah,
I
I bet.
literally right before I closed out of my last Zoom meeting to get right onto this one. Because today, like with the band, we're doing a bunch of we're trying to get a lot done here and juggling tour stuff and music video stuff and finances, and
We're going to talk about it all again.
yeah, I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, it's fine. It'll happen eventually. Bro, congrats on this album. Like, holy smokes. What album blew me away when I listened to it for the first time.
Heck yeah, man. Thank you.
It really did.
I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, you should be. You absolutely should be. I can easily see this album being on people's top 10 albums of the year, hands down.
We've had a heck yeah, man. Yeah, there's been a lot of people saying that, and that's pretty cool. Like, it's kind of a weird spot for us because it's not like. Sorry, I'm trying to get this.
Hey, do what you got to do.
I want to look good for you guys here. It's like it's kind of strange because it's not a like full length, so it's like an EP. So there's like EPs of the year, and there's like album, and it's like kind of both, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you guys prefer this wide angle or tall?
That's fine.
Yeah, either way.
Okay.
You're looking gorgeous either way.
Hey. Cool.
There's never been a time where I've sat down and listened to an album and didn't know if I should be crying or headbanging or doing both at the same time. But this album was like one of those for me. You guys went on like an incredible emotional roller coaster with this album while making it incredibly heavy at the same time.
Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of a strange spot too. Like I keep saying strange, but like we've had like a lot of mixed reactions on that front because it's like some people feel guilty like enjoying the music and or maybe like wanting to like headbang and like throw down, I guess, because it's the content is so like heavy and emotional, and it's like I don't want to sound insensitive when I'm like, yeah, check out this new stuff, it's so good, like we love it, and like like what we're talking about is like pretty personal to some people, and I like it's kind of that finding that balance has been like the learning curve for this,
right?
But overall it's been really great.
Yeah. With that challenge though, how tough was it actually sitting down and finding the right way to write the lyrics, given like the content that you were given and whatnot?
Yeah. So with writing it was really challenging, and we were lucky to have a lot of time like throughout the pandemic. So with that, I wanted to use as much time as I could on each song. So like some of these songs, like The Price of Grace, that was like one of the last ones I put together. I remember there was like a weekend and I was like, okay, sweet, I'm off all weekend, I'm just gonna knock this out. And in the back of my mind I was like, you shouldn't really like be worrying about that right now. Like it's not something that you just want to get in and get out. Like you really got to focus on what this is about, why this is important, and telling the story accurately and well. So I had a lot of moments where like I would go in with the mindset of like I'm gonna accomplish so much, and then realizing like I don't want to force this and then regret it. So there was a lot of like back and forth, come and go with writing. So that was probably like one of the hardest parts, I'd say.
I will say with The Price of Grace, the breakdown and your call out when you go, you deserve to survive. I can't get over how good that is.
Thank you. That one was yeah, really, really emotional because we were with CJ the whole experience, like from when this tragedy struck all the way up into the recording of the song. Like he was like with us he wasn't physically with us in the studio, but like I was on the phone with him quite a bit, like, hey, we're getting ready to track this, and he had prepared this voicemail for us, so that's his real voice on the song. And with that call out you mentioned, the original lyric I think was "You deserve to survive," but because the whole like takeaway at the end is like keeping him alive in spirit, it's "You deserve to survive." So it's kind of like flipping that and basically like keeping him alive throughout it. I thought that was interesting and kind of a fresh perspective and gave it a new meaning.
Yeah. I mean, there was so many perfect moments on this album too, just with like the lyrical structure of it and with the instrumental structure of it as well. So you guys did a fantastic job on that. Definitely.
Thank you. That was a lot of days spent with Andrew in the studio, our producer. We had, I mean, with any record, any studio trip, you have a limited amount of time, and typically you go in and you just start right away. You typically will track like a scratch guitars, and then this is like other musicians know this, but like your normal person, you go and you do like a little bit of guitar, and then you'll get your drums, and then from there you start building the song, and that's like the first 3 days. But for us, it was like everything was thrown out the window as far as an expected structure. We spent probably 4 days for each song, like 4 days each, just working on lyrics, like just sitting down and talking and really making sure we're driving home, what we want to say and making it as good as it can be. So everything is, at least from my take, everything is super intentional and really honed in, and I'm really proud of that.
The whole thing is really good. The lyrics hit me in my heart a lot. I will say that. But I wanted to switch over to the vinyl real quick, which they're all beautiful.
Oh man.
Bro. Whose idea was it to put the hurricane instrumental on that?
I think, well, we had released the hurricane instrumental before any of like the newer singles on this record, because Hurricane, I guess for those just listening, Hurricane came out like a year, like 2 years ago. Like it's been a while. It was like 2019.
It was 2 years ago.
Yeah. So we released Hurricane, and then we later released just the instrumental version of that, and the reception was really good. People seemed to really like that. So I guess it was just more so like a bonus for picking up the vinyl. Really, it was, it was like, you guys enjoy this, and this is just kind of an extra incentive. But yeah, I think doing like little add-ons for vinyl make it a little more special, something to talk about and show your friends. They're like, hey, you don't have this, I do, it's on the vinyl.
I think it actually bookended
oh really
the whole album. Great, it worked perfectly for me.
I never thought of it like that. That's cool. Yeah, I guess that could sound good. Yeah.
So speaking of Hurricane though, yeah, that song came out 2 years ago. I think you guys first started playing it whenever you were on the tour with Earth Groans, right?
Yeah, the tour we did with Oh Sleeper, I think, was the first time that we brought that out.
Yeah,
I think I might be wrong.
And so with bringing that song out so early, was the plan always to work on new material throughout the next however long it was and put that as basically like the lead single off of the new album? Or was it kind of just like, oh, hey, we should add on to this structure that we already have?
Both. It wasn't intended to be like a standout single for the record. And I wouldn't really say it is in a way, because like it was just a single. Like it was just going to be a one-off. Because that was our first time recording with our new producer, and then also having Daniel on vocals. So it's just kind of this, here's our new sound, and like hopefully this can hold you guys over till we, make our next move. But we had gone through so much right as we were releasing that. I mean, we were finding a new vocalist. We decided to leave our last label. We, going through the member change, and then working with a new producer, going DIY. There's so many, and then the pandemic. So there's just all these like things going against us. So with all these big changes, that was definitely a big influence on like, okay, let's bring this over to the record. But also Hurricane inspired the record as a whole in its own way, because that was our first time doing interviews. Like we got this whole new idea of interviewing people and then writing songs about them, and then that just kind of became the concept that we stuck with for the record. So in a way, Hurricane is the seed to I Won't Survive. It started the whole thing.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So
I have a quick question.
yeah. Go for it. I was words. Yeah.
Did you like the experience of doing it yourself better than having the label behind it?
Yeah. Nothing against the label, but when we went in to do our last records, that there was a lot more time restraint and budget, less of a budget, like a lot less of a budget. So there was a lot of things like, you know, like we were really forced to just get it in and get it out, you know, like that's kind of stressful for, you know, like writing and, you know, being a musician, I guess. But with this record, we did it in like sections. So like the last session we did was for 3 songs. We did our instrumental, we did The Price of Grace, and we did Teeth. And that was just, so like having the freedom to like go home, you know, rest, write more, and then come back was really cool. And I don't know if we'll ever get that chance again, just because that's not really how you go about writing a record. So I definitely enjoyed the DIY aspect for sure. Hope that answered some of your questions.
Yeah, that's
No,
it. I was just
absolutely.
wondering with the
Yeah.
between, you know, having the labels and then being able to do it yourself.
Yeah, the label never really like police or like creativity or anything like that. No, like we were able to you know, take things in our own direction and, you know, go from there. So there really wasn't much restrictions, you know, as far as creativity.
Okay. Did you think of what you were thinking about, Josiah?
Yes, I was actually. Now I lost it. Hold on. Gosh, one of those days. Throughout the record, we see like a bunch of different, almost not style changes, but just expounding upon what you already have, genre-wise. So like, what was it? I want to say it was Price of Grace came out. It got added to like a deathcore playlist.
Yeah.
And then looking at Teeth, you hear some like hardcore influences on it. Was that something you guys like intentionally tried to do? Like, let's really expound upon this, or or was it kind of more like, let's just have fun and make some of the craziest stuff we can think of?
I guess more so your second opinion, because when we got added to that Spotify deathcore playlist, like that wasn't on our end, like that was them, like their algorithms or their decision making. We weren't like, yo, we're deathcore band now, like that never, you know. But like with Teeth, like you said, our idea outside of conceptually, like what the song's about, like sonically, like we were just like, let's just make the heaviest song we could make, you know. And like oddly enough, like the newer stuff that we're already working on is going to be much heavier. But that was kind of the idea. It was just like, let's just go all the way heavy and let's just do all screaming and have fun with it. And so I guess some of the hardcore elements came out. Like me personally, I love Kubla Khan, and there's a little bit of that in there maybe. At least from, you know, my influence. But
I don't like it.
Yeah, like we like hardcore, and we've always had a lot of hardcore influences, and so that was just natural. But definitely more heavy and more risk taking is like definitely a lot of our motivation. It was just kind of like, let's just go for it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So do you think going forward, like you already mentioned that you're already on the track for writing new material and stuff like that and whatnot?
As of today.
Yeah, right.
Like, as of today, because Josh and I were on the phone earlier, and he was showing me some like little snippets of demo, and like we're kind of conceptually like already trying to figure out what our next move is and musically. But I mean, all our heart and energy is in I Won't Survive. Like, don't get that.
Right. Oh yeah,
Listen.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you think going forward you're going to try and not necessarily replicate what you did with this, but kind of take it in a similar approach of trying to get it done in some chunks first, take the time and really put into it?
I don't know. I mean, with our producer, it's tricky because he's such a busy guy. He's doing like all these, big projects. So I don't know. I mean, it just whatever makes most sense.
Right.
If we're super busy with our touring schedule and he's got records that he's doing and it's like, okay, we're just gonna do a full length in this pocket, and we may have to do that. But my advantage now is I'm just gonna always be writing. So
Right.
with some of the last older material, it's just kind of like, right now, let's go. And that's not always the best way to go. So yeah, I think, I don't know, like whatever we can do. We're gonna find out here in an email here, because I don't know if I should be telling you all this, but we emailed our producer this morning and we're seeing what his availability looks like. So maybe it will be a couple songs here, a couple songs there. I don't know. Like, we'll find out.
Yeah. Vocally though, oh my gosh, you were absolutely fantastic vocally. Like it's so cool looking at something like your really early stuff in Unworthy, and then looking now and seeing not only like improvement on your end, but how much range you've been able to extend as well, both getting those really high highs and those really low lows, and then also hearing Daniel come on and just sing the mess out of the lyrics on there. That was honestly one of the biggest treats of this album, EP, whatever you want to call it. Was just
you and I both. I just say release at this point.
yeah, we'll just go with release. Anytime we talk about it, we'll just go with release. Just hearing the vocal styles and everything on this release was just absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, with one big advantage was having the pandemic. I had a lot of time to rehearse and learn new techniques. So there's definitely newer techniques I'm doing, and I'm really honed in most of my screaming now. But I mean, yeah, I'm working on new stuff too. But I'm always looking to improve. And one big advantage I think a lot of these songs had was drawing out new emotions, and kind of treating it like a almost like method acting, being sad with the song, and instead of just nailing my takes, which is kind of a bad habit for me. It's just kind of let's just make it sound great, good, let's go, let's keep going, instead trying not to think so much about technique, but more so the emotion. And so for example, The Price of Grace, there's a line where I say, they found that note you left behind in the lethal dose you took that night. So talking about describing a suicide note, I imagined what you would feel angry and sad and gritting your teeth, so I was literally gritting my teeth, and snot was kind of building up, almost like you'd be crying. So it's these sounds are coming in, or at least I think they do, and it creates more of a raw emotion, I think, in sound. So going more of a method route, I think, was a big advantage. Same thing with the call outs. I try to imagine what it would sound like if I were in a real verbal altercation, you and I are yelling at each other and we're fighting. What would my voice sound like, and screaming like that. So it's not good for your voice. You probably gonna, and I hurt my voice, but it sounds legit. It's not all dramatic and silly sounding, it's just I'm literally yelling at you. And I think that's really effective for hardcore elements for sure.
Yeah.
Teeth.
Yeah. I definitely see that influence or just that style in Wreckage whenever you say the section before the breakdown with "If you love as you say you love," and you getting that almost really high scream. Yeah.
That was kind of an impromptu thing. When we were tracking it, it was technique, and it was just nailing the take. And then they're like, doesn't really, this just sounds pretty standard. And I was like, well, what if I try this one thing I've been like practicing on the side, that like super high, like that was totally new for me. I was like, I can try this. What do you think of this? This might be too extreme. And I did. And they're like, oh, that's sweet. Like, yeah. But it was, it was also like, you would make that sound in a super desperate call out, I imagine, like, like maybe, you're so drained and emotional and sad, like you might actually sound like that if you were calling out to God and, as saying like, if you love me and help me, you might sound like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know the last time you were on here,
yeah,
we talked about some of your artwork, and you gave us some tidbits on the last album about the symbol and everything.
Yeah.
Is there anything like that on this cover? Anything that you put on there secretly or haven't explained?
Yeah, it's definitely more symbolic, like with the singles. We have a sword for the war that followed me home, and so like that's a warrior. Like there's wreckage where it's a scale, and that's kind of like you're weighing out your options, of self-harm and your belief in God. And then there's like the rose for price of grace. Like rose is a great representation of grace, and it's like dying. So yeah, there's definitely like some visual cues we took off of those that were like symbolic. The cover art itself, I think, was just kind of this like almost occult figure, but it's more like less like that space between life and death and like the choices you make. So there's like this book, and that to me, my interpretation of that was like the survival stories and like the story that you'll leave behind, and then there's like the the representation of death. That was kind of like some of the direction, and then our artist took his his route, and we're really happy with it.
Yeah, it's great.
Thank you.
I have a quick question, if you don't mind. So one song I've very been interested in was Lasso. I know a lot of other people have, and I think it has kind of that strong backstory, kind of like The Price of Grace. And I don't know what it comes from, if you like how y'all came to write it or what happened, kind of.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, because we're going to be putting in some thought and ideas into putting that song a little more out in front, like maybe a music video or something. And there's also a lyric explanation video that we're going to have here soon, hopefully. That song is really near and dear to us, specifically Zach. So Zach and this guy Greg used to be in this band together called Run Into the Shadows. This is like a local band, and they actually got pretty big. They're doing like tours and stuff, but my local band were playing shows with their band, and so we knew of each other in the scene. This is like early 2000s, like 2006, 7. But we knew of each other, and fun little tidbit, I auditioned for Run Into the Shadows and I didn't get the part. Thanks, Zach. But, Greg and Zach were really close. They're in this band together. And then Zach went on to do Convictions, and Greg moved out to Portland, I believe, and started his life with his wife and daughter. And years down the road, while we're on the road, I think it was, Zach had gotten the news from Greg that Greg had gone through testicular cancer, and he had gone through like 2 or maybe 3 waves of it. And I mean, that took us all off guard. I knew Greg, but like Zach obviously much closer. And we spent time with him while we're on I think we were on tour with Volumes at the time, but we were staying with him, and we were working on this record or writing some of it. And Zach basically interviewed Greg and was asking like, if you were going under, for this cancer treatment, into surgery, and you had to leave like an open letter to your daughter, not knowing if you might make it out of this, what would you say? And so that's what Last Cell is. Because there's like in the chorus he talks about not walking his daughter down the aisle, when she'd be married, and not being there for her and what that would feel like. And so it's really sad, but I feel like perspectives like that aren't always known, or heard. And it was really like sentimental, and we've had a lot of people like resonate with that story, or at least the lyrics and song. I know my brother, he has a daughter, and he was sharing his thoughts on that, and that was really cool. But it was a lot of fun to make. It was definitely a new sound for us, and we were experimenting with different song structures. And there's an Easter egg in there. The very last line of this song is "Run into, don't let your light run into the shadows," and that's the name. "Run into the Shadows" is the name of their old band, so I wanted to get that in there. But yeah, Greg's doing well, by the way. I'm pretty sure he's cleared of all that. But yeah, we wanted to write.
That's good.
Praise God.
Yeah.
So one of the lines in Wreckage that you guys put on, I think the back of one of your shirts was the nails in your wrist cut the blade from mine. Can you kind of explain that a little bit as to what that means? Just because, like, a lot of times you wouldn't really use the phrase "cut the blades from mine," or you'd say something like "take the blades" or something like that. So why exactly that verbiage?
Yeah, that line I think was put together by Andrew and some of the guys, maybe Josh. I'm not sure. I was definitely there for that. I think I even had the same question. I was like, what does that mean, or how is that? My interpretation from that is like self-harm. So like throughout the song, you hear like different methods on how this person considered taking their lives. There's a car crash, there's a gun, there's cutting, which are all relevant to his story. I think because he's struggling with his faith and asking God, like, if you're really there, I'm struggling here. I don't even know if I believe in you, like, save my life. I think he's acknowledging the holes, and he's acknowledging Jesus and the holes in his wrist. And he's saying, like, cut the blades from my wrist, like, just cut it out, basically, if you're real, take this from me.
Yeah.
That's my interpretation. I could be totally wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So I thought that was like with the shirt and the message behind it. I think it's a really great reflection of God's will for us to live, and our dependency on him, in times of crisis.
Okay. Well, looking forward, now that touring's becoming an option, it looks like, what's your plans for touring?
Well, that was the call I was on earlier. If you would have got on, no. Hopefully soon. We're talking about possibly August at the earliest. Hopefully. And then there's like September, November-ish. That's kind of like what we're thinking or trying. I can't say any announcement or anything yet because we're just talking right now with our booking agents and figuring that out. But I think we may have something for August, but I can't say anything for sure.
Just make sure you got some dates around the Philly area
and Virginia. Anywhere.
Yeah, I think that might be in the area.
Well, if Missouri isn't in the area, I'm going to be genuinely upset because we don't care about the masks anymore. So just come have fun in Missouri.
Missouri?
Yes.
Here, I'll look right now.
Well, I think
if not,
Philly's
I will
about to drop their masks too.
If Missouri is not on that list, I will travel. I've done it before and I will do it again.
And Jersey just announced they're dropping it on the 28th.
Yep, same with us.
Wow.
Need to see a show.
Yeah, definitely like New England area. So Eastern, that's what it looks like, but I can't say anything for sure, and I probably shouldn't even say anything about touring anyway.
Fine. That's awesome. That's awesome.
No, yeah, I'm hoping to get a lot going here because we're all anxious. You know, like we've been waiting. I'm sure you guys want to go to some shows and
after this release, I want to see every single one of these songs live.
Yeah, we were actually talking about that. This is actually a good question for you guys.
Thinking about that too.
Because we're depending on our set length and stuff, we're talking about like what to put in our set, and like nothing's confirmed or like on paper, but I know like we want to like heavily focus on just the new stuff, and I don't know if that's like a big disappointment for some people or
not at all.
Okay,
I think that's great, honestly.
Yeah, I just know how like partial some people can be. Like I remember when I went to see Architects forever ago. This is like 2017 maybe.
Oh, wow.
No, it was a little after that, but I really loved Hollow Crown. That's my favorite album by them, and I think they put out a record called The Here and Now, I think, which is like one or two records after that, and I was so bummed they didn't play anything from Hollow Crown. I was like, that's like yeah. So I don't want to do that to anybody, but we're probably just gonna be playing newer stuff from here on out for a while unless we have longer sets.
Yeah. I was legitimately thinking about that the other day of like this release has enough songs on it that it's a set list in itself.
Yeah, we might be able to play the whole thing.
It really is. Just play the whole thing. That's all.
Be awesome.
Yeah, I just wouldn't be able to talk to the crowd. It would just be like go 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 go.
Just imagine the pit that would open when the breakdown for Teeth kicks in.
Oh, we've been talking about that. That was another thing we were talking about today. Because I was like, it'd be sweet to start our set with that song, but then like some of the guys in the band were like, whoa, like we can't do that because then we can't get heavier after that. And I'm like, you're right. So like,
I can just imagine everyone just gassed after that. Like we have the rest of the set to go through. We got to be careful.
And then it just mellow out. And it's like, I don't know if we can do that.
That's funny. Speaking of Teeth, though, I know you guys are probably going to be doing like a bunch of lyrical explanations and stuff like that, but with the main, like the breakdown line, the call out of there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Yeah.
How does that incorporate into the rest of the song with like the meaning of it and everything? Does it have to do with like revelation and stuff like that, and that sort of biblical not even idea, but just biblical reality, or is it something different and you just wanted to include that scripture into it?
So yeah, with Teeth, it's kind of I guess like a big influence was Dante's Inferno and like how you're descending into hell. So like, I mean, the big takeaway is how all these stories are connected through suffering to kind of create that community and unity, and kind of, it's actually the most, ironically, as it's the heaviest song, it's also probably the most positive song.
Yeah.
Or at least like, hopeful. But the visuals and the representations was like hell, and my take was Dante's Inferno. So like there's a build to it where it's like you're sinking lower, tearing through the roots in the ground, lower and lower and lower, and then you'll hear weeping, gnashing of teeth is like the depth of it in hell. And that was just kind of a like hearing weeping and gnashing of teeth brought up so much in the Bible, and like how they view that as in suffering. I thought that was kind of perfect, and it kind of created just the soundscape and the visuals of what the listener's going through.
Yeah. Would you say like the sound and everything that you guys brought to it influenced the lyrics at all?
They go hand in hand. So like with this record release, I brought the lyrical concepts to Josh, because Josh is like the primary writer. Yeah. So I had ideas, I was like, hey, I want to write about this story. Now make a song for it. Like what would that sound like? So I think with like The Price of Grace, for example, it being as chaotic and kind of like disorienting, because there's just so many different things going on. Kind of tie in with like in the beginning of the song when our person is circling his dorm. He's circling a dorm in college, but he's circling a room, so he's dizzy, you know. So like, yeah, there are elements that like tie in with each other. Or like The War That Followed Me Home, there's a lot of sonically influenced things that are trying not to like get too off. Like I'm just stuttering and sounding weird right now because my mind's all over the place. But in The War That Followed Me Home, there's like a lot of metallic sounds and explosions, you know, like that you'd hear like if you were in a war. And then there's even a sound where everything drops and you hear like ringing after I brace for the impact. So there's like this bomb that goes off and you hear ringing, like you actually hear ringing on the song like you would if it was in real life. So there are, yeah, like you said, like things that tie in and influence each other.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think my favorite thing with this release is like there was a few people whenever I talked to them about it, they'd be like, oh, it's too short, there's not enough songs on it. And the response was always, I would rather them put their heart and soul into 7-8 songs than pump out 15 song record and there's fillers and
Josiah, did audio cut out?
I think I lost some of the audio too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josiah, your audio cut out.
Sorry, I know. I
Oh,
was
there it
getting
is.
a bunch of stairs and I'm like, this isn't good.
Okay, you want to try that one more time?
Where'd I stop at?
Good.
I knew I had an answer, so I
Do it again. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
You were talking about it being like people complaining about it being too short, but then like you were saying like you'd rather it be like intentionally short and good versus like long with fillers. I think that's what. Yeah.
That was it. You guys definitely, and all I said after that was you definitely did that. You guys nailed it with that.
Yeah. No, I'm listening. Yeah, I mean, like that's to me is way more effective. Like there's records that I really love and that like that are like too long and I don't even really notice, or like I don't even really hear them because by the time I'm like halfway through, I'm already, you know, like finishing with my workout or I'm like arriving to my job and I have to turn off my stereo, you know, like that's always in the back of my mind. Like I'd rather it be and you know, like everything's intentional, everything's right where we want it, everything's like on it, then like force a few songs that might not, you know, or I don't know, like these stories and stuff are like so personal and like deep with us. It was like, I don't know, like if we really need to just, like, top that, you know, or like it's, yeah, everything is like right where we wanted it. I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, I will say it's the perfect length because I can start at track 1 and then by the time it's over, I'm at work. So it's I can listen to it the whole entire from front to back on the way to and from work.
Yeah, it's definitely like I think it's like the right amount of time. And you know, this is just my own opinion here, but like, you know, like I have so much attention span. Like I love the new here's a plug. I love the new Kingdom of Giants record so much. It's so good. But I can never finish it. I always get to like halfway and then I'm like done with my workout, or I'm like, oh, like I don't know how I feel about this song. And then like I get distracted or you know, I don't know, like it's just like it holds just the right amount of attention span, like that length I feel like is like perfect for us.
Yeah. You guys don't waste any time either.
No.
Yeah. I think there's like a statement that we were trying to make too with our new sound. It's just like, here it is, this is us, like new convictions. We're like, there you go, you know, like instead of like investing into a full length and going through that whole process again, because we just did one, you know, it's like let's do something different.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So
Question.
I have one real quick before. So with all these songs like about different struggles, you know, self-harm, PTSD, was there ever like a certain subject you wanted to write on that y'all didn't quite get to do and maybe left out?
Yeah. There's a couple like going with the theme of interviews, there's a couple stories that have like come up that I've been really inspired by recently that I'm like, ooh, I think this would be really effective and like a really good experience for us to like learn about and write about. But for this release, no, like there wasn't like, oh, we didn't get around to that one, or that never really came about. But I don't know, like for the newer stuff, it's like maybe we do more interviews, but I don't want to like pigeonhole our, because it's more of like a concept in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some stories that I've definitely heard recently, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's really and really is like effective. Like that story should be heard. Like wow, I don't know. I there's a lot of new ideas, but with I Won't Survive, no, there was never like there wasn't like a stone that wasn't turned.
Okay. Was there anything that didn't make it to the record at all? Or did you guys really just hammer out what you wanted?
Yeah, no, I mean, for it being 7 songs, like that was even a struggle. Like, cause we went in, like I said, for our last session and we did 3 songs. We got like halfway through and we're like, this might just be 1 song. So like everything after that was like a big bonus. And we were really blessed with like, our producer being lenient and like working with us, and we were able to finish it up. It was like just enough time. Yeah, no, there wasn't really any other songs that were like in the works or anything that I can think of. Everything was done, but definitely almost not done because we were like, it was getting down to that wire. Like with the instrumental song, we had somebody that's outside of our band that we hired to play real violin on it. That was really cool. But that was done like after we had already left the studio, so it came out in post. But yeah, no, everything was just there.
And speaking of the instrumental song, what was the inspiration behind putting an instrumental like that on there?
Yeah, so we when we perform live, Josh will do like these really pretty interludes on his guitar, and this is like an element of Convictions that's like always there. Like we always have those going on in the background, whether I'm giving a speech or it's like between songs. And some of our older records will have interlude like that, and like Serotonin or Reverie. But it's kind of an element of our band that we haven't really explored too much of outside of like a few singles, here and there. But for this one, it was more so like the way I hear it is more of like a soundscape, or like it has like a cinematic vibe to it. And the intent behind that to me was to give the listener time to reflect and process before we just, go out. And I think that's what inspired the title too. Everything I Never Told You is just kind of that thought of like, there's something left on, like, there's something I didn't get to say maybe before somebody had passed, or maybe I passed or whatever. It's that kind of giving you time to reflect and gather your thoughts, and maybe, where your heart is on some of these stories. That was kind of the intention, I think. Yeah. But yeah, going back to that element of the band, I've been asking around a little bit, and I think I want to try and hopefully put some, I haven't even told everybody in the band this, but like I've been like brainstorming on like a separate element of our band to release like 4 songs of just like Everything I Never Told You, like just instrumentals to kind of expand our Convictions universe without sounding pretentious.
I think it would be wonderful. It's a great instrumental.
Yeah, I really like it. And I have nothing to do with it. Like I don't even play anything. I'm just enjoying it. But I think it's an element of our band that should be explored a bit more, and could also tie in with other work that I can't really get into right now. But it's something that we should explore more. But it's not necessarily like, this is our new record, we're just an instrumental band now. Like, no, that's not the case. It's more so like
Rings of Saturn,
a side quest.
Yeah, you guys do you guys did a great job with that. It definitely reminded me of like a lot of the early Silent Planet instrumentals that they had on like a couple EPs and even their full lengths. So those, and it balanced everything out really well too.
Yeah.
You're going from like hard hitting, nothing but heavy, and then you get this break.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need that break before you get to
Yeah.
the last song.
I definitely agree. Having dynamics is really important, and the intent behind it for sure. Yeah, I love the idea of like creating something that can put strong imagery in your mind. Like to me, like when I hear that, I think of like I'm out in the wilderness in the snow and I'm trudging through the snow and I'm like lost. You know, like there's like so much that you can think of. Like I love that, and I want more of that.
I'll dig it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, so you hit 1 million streams just on Spotify in what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, we like 2.5 or 1.5, because we got that report a couple days ago, and we just had to like make a graphic for it, you know, to promote it this weekend. But yeah, yesterday it was like 1,007,000 something, so we may have hit that even a little earlier. I know there's like a delay with Spotify, so I want to say a week, but with Spotify I can't really say that. With YouTube and stuff, yeah, but no, that's so crazy to us, because we just hit 1 million streams on 1 million streams on Hope for the Broken. We hit that like a couple months ago, and that album's been out for like 2.5 years now.
Feels like forever.
Yeah, so for us to hit that same number in a little over a week is pretty incredible for our band.
Yeah. I remember, I think we talked last time in the last interview that we had with you. We were like really confident that this release would put you guys on some sort of map, whatever it would be, and it's definitely showing that it is.
I hope so. Yeah, like we're really, I mean, just by the numbers and a lot of these reactions, and you know, people like you guys, you know, that want to talk to us and stuff, it's pretty special, and I'm really anxious to see what it's like once we go on the road, you know, like if people are going to turn out and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll be there.
Heck yeah.
But how does it feel blowing all these other bands out of the water?
No. No. I'm not getting no. No, the music lately has been incredible. Like all these bands are putting out incredible work. It's I think that's like one really cool thing with the pandemic is a lot of artists have had time to really hone their craft, and what we've been able to hear from these other bands has been really cool.
Yeah. So
it's awesome.
Just for the heck of it, what's been one of your favorite releases so far?
Ooh, in the metalcore genre, Veil Maya. I really like that band. I really like the new North Lane and Kingdom of Giants, as I mentioned earlier. And Crystal Lake put out some really cool stuff this year. That's one of my favorites. Yeah, those are just a few.
Anything that you're looking forward to coming out?
New Slipknot. Really excited for that. Yeah. There's a video posted this morning of them talking about their new stuff.
Yeah, Clown said that he never heard Corey perform like before. And so
we must have read the same article.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah, and I'm really excited to hear it because I loved their last album. So I'm excited to hear more.
Yeah, I'm hoping they get heavier.
Yeah.
That was my last show before the pandemic hit, was Slipknot.
Lucky.
I remember they were supposed to come to like Memphis in July of last year, and it was like a day to remember, Code Orange and everything. I'm like, heck
Under
yeah,
Oath.
Under Oath. I was like, I'll make the 3-hour drive, get VIP for the heck of it. Then I'm like, I hate life.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Oh my gosh, that's a bucket list tour for sure. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. But yeah. Man,
Yeah, Code Orange is another one of those bands that are really influential. They're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The new Slaughter to Prevail just came out with that song Baba Yaga, and it's insane. Absolutely insane.
Is that with the like grizzly bear or something? I saw like a video clip.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're Russian, so I'm get yeah.
Yeah, it's like normal for them. I saw a little clip of that. That's for the record, Alex is an incredible vocalist. I'm intimidated by that dude. He's real good.
Yeah. He's freaking massive too.
Yeah.
Yeah. He opens up his throat and it sounds like every layer of whatever ungodly thing came out of the earth that's being released.
Yeah. It's real freaky.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah. No, it's been a good year for music, and you guys have definitely, I think, stepped it up for other bands.
Yeah, I think that was our goal, was to really kind of show our new sound and direction, and really just put the effort into, I guess, like reinvent ourselves in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of my favorite things too, though, is just seeing like lyrically as well. It's like we talked about it last time, but you guys never straying away from your faith and everything. But I love seeing how like within these songs that can have not necessarily like a negative connotation, but like a really sad and really heartbreaking connotation with it, also have that light of Jesus at the end of it. And you guys always do a fantastic job at just pointing it back to God and making sure that he's glorified with it. So
yeah, I think that was definitely in our minds, because we are a Christian band, and we are vocal and honest with our faith. But one thing that's really important to our band is also talking about other aspects of faith. Like people struggle, and it's not all sunshine and daisies and
right.
Perfect. And you won't find that in a lot of like Christian music, or at least in our experience. And to go in that uncharted territory in a way and try and show that light is really important, and that can reach people outside of our faith too.
Yeah.
And like suicide, that affects literally everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think reaching people on that in that way, I think, is something that like God would want for us in our band to try and help with, like saving lives, or like reaching people, like on a personal level, and trying to share hope with them is a godly thing, I think, and that's something that we've tried to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely, it's a ministry in itself, It's really, really cool seeing how, you guys do this with such a willingness to listen to God at the same time.
Yeah, I definitely try.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man, it's really encouraging, just because you see like with a lot of modern metal and stuff like that, it can be super negative. It can be super dark, depressing and everything, but just having your message in there along with not many, but a few other Christian bands in the mix definitely shines that like, hey, there's still hope in all of the darkness. So
yeah, we're definitely happy and to try and share a different perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's awesome. It's great.
I'll agree to that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's real nice to have positivity coming through.
Yeah.
I needed some of that this year.
Yeah. Hear that.
Yeah. So what would you say was lyrically the hardest one for you to write? I mean, I'm sure it was all pretty tough just because of the subject material and everything, and wanting to get it in the right manner, but
probably The War That Followed Me Home. just like I had to do a lot of research with that one.
Mhm.
I mean, I did research on everyone. We did interviews like with the people that we're writing about with every song. So there's interviews for every song, but the war that followed me home was tricky because you know, I didn't serve in the military. I don't have any background or any of my family members that are close, and trying to tell that accurately, respectfully, and from a good place, you know, because it's like I can't tell your struggle when I've never had it, you know. So being really hands-on with Corey, the guy who helped us write this song, he shared a lot of information and gritty details, and just putting that into words and then telling a whole story with like an arc accurately was really challenging, definitely.
Yeah.
Really happy with how it came out.
Yeah, it's a fantastic song. It's my #1 on repeat.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
The whole album for me has just been on repeat. I listened to it like 5 times in one sitting. I just kept playing it through. It was awesome. I couldn't get enough of it.
That's so awesome.
It's pretty much what I play to and from work.
That's awesome, man. It's hard to like express gratitude like without sounding like, oh, thank you, man. You know, like thank you, dude. That's cool. You know, like it's like hard to put that into words, but that really means a lot. Like, thank you. We've worked really hard on that, and that's pretty surreal to hear.
I remember talking to Daniel in the Indianapolis show at the Hoosier Dome.
Oh, nice. That's so sweet.
Great show. And I asked him, I said, so it seems like it's gonna be a heavier like I Will Become. And he said, yeah, it's a good way of putting it. And it definitely is. You know, you definitely encapsulated the I Will Become feeling while making it so much more heavy.
That's funny you say that, because when we were in the studio, Daniel was saying that he's like, oh my, he's like, the boys are back. He's like, some of my vocal takes, like I was like, man, I sound different, but like I like this. But I was like, I think at some points maybe I was just like, how do you guys feel? Because they're like quiet in the room. I'm like, is this good? Like, tell me now. And it's like silence. And Daniel, like I think he like kind of like broke character for a minute. He's like, dude, he's like, you're back, man. It's back. He's like, I will become. It's here. Like, I was like, all right, cool, man. Like, that's awesome. Like, because he was like a fan of our band.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
He knows like what to expect or what he would want to hear. So it's a really interesting perspective. So yeah, it was pretty trippy.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, I remember he was like, yeah, I didn't like Hope for the Broken. And I was like, I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but like, okay, it's your opinion, Daniel. But
oh yeah.
So I'm sure having that that perspective itself was really beneficial with writing this new material as well.
Oh, huge. Yeah, because it's like, I don't want to call him a fan, but it's like asking a fan, it's like, well, where would you hear us going, you know, or like, what would you want for the band?
Right.
You know, instead of being, you know, in this vacuum where it's like, well, where do we go? What do we sound like? What will they like? You know, he definitely helped a lot with like adding that fresh energy and also like understanding the band and what he would hear of us. So it's like you joining a band that you really like for a long time and being like, you guys need to go back to this, or you guys need to sound like this. It's like he already had these opinions. So it helped a lot for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, it's a masterpiece of a release, honestly. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to that statement I made earlier about not being sure how to thank you for that. I'm just like, thanks, man. That's great. Like, I can't. You know, like, I really like that's. I don't want to sound like I'm not genuine when I'm saying thank you, and I can't tell you how surreal that sounds. Like that really is crazy.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. It really is. Like I think this is everything that Convictions fans and maybe even new Convictions fans are looking forward to. Like this is like I think we hear this and we're like, wow, like this is, how do you go build from there, you know? And it's looking bright.
It's scary. So I'm like, what are we getting next?
Yeah.
How do I top that? No,
You'll
it's
find
not
out.
really about. Yeah, it's not really about topping it. It's just about sharing something different.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's good.
Thank you.
I remember I texted my fiance the night I got done with it, and I was just like, this was absolutely insane. You like, this is everything that I ever wanted. And she's like, all right, cool. The next morning I'll listen to it. And she listened to it and she was like, yeah, I just bought one of their shirts. And she doesn't listen to like heavy music or anything like that, only whenever she's stuck in a car with me. And she was a fan of it. So
That's so
happy.
cool. Yeah, definitely give her our thank you for that. That's awesome.
Babe, he
That
says
helps.
thank
That's
right.
in the room. Thank you.
You're welcome. My favorite. I loved it.
That's awesome.
And speaking of everything I wanted, what made you do that cover song?
Oh wow.
You hinted at it the last time you were on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know if I mentioned it on our last talk, but that was that weird like halfway mark between releasing this release and our last one, and trying to like put out more content during the pandemic because we didn't want to wait, you know, like a whole another year. So as far as like marketing and stuff like that, that was kind of like our thought. It's just kind of something to hold them over. But during that time, like we were doing promotional stuff. We did getting everybody in Ohio. So it was just kind of like talking about the record, and also like that was our first little like snippet of what our new sound will be, I think. So some of the elements that we're bringing to that cover is what I believe is on our new release.
Yeah.
And also the content, like that song is great. Like there's a lot of really good content in there. Like with that song, like that Billie Eilish song has really good depth about, like mental health awareness. And,
Mm-hmm.
And that's an like kind of like another small indication of where we're going to go with the I Won't Survive.
Yeah.
So yeah, it made sense.
When you guys were like, when you made that cover, was it kind of like in the forefront of your mind of like, hey, let's make a cover of a song? Or was it kind of like you heard the song, it was like, this would be cool to do a cover for?
I want to say it was Zach's idea, or maybe Josh's. It was definitely kind of on the whim because we were like, yo, let's just do this. And it was funny for me because I kept hearing that song every day after work. I was like, this. It was just like right here, right now, let's go. So we made the plans and went with it.
Yeah. It's really good. I wasn't the last cover you guys made, the Take Me to Church.
Oh yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah,
that was a while ago. And so hearing that, like just a new cover and stuff like that was really cool. It was fun to listen to a new cover of you guys.
Yeah, I wouldn't be bummed out to do more. That was fun.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, I was gonna say, whenever, just kind of going back to the cover and everything, whenever it first came out and whatnot, it was definitely a really, really good snippet and kind of a good introduction as to the direction that you guys were going towards.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely.
Yeah, it was really good. I listened to that one a lot, that's for sure.
Yeah, I like that song. It came out pretty good.
Yeah.
Not sure what else to say about it. Yeah, that was cool too, filming that video too, having John in the picture, getting him reintegrated with our band. John, our old bass player vocalist, now that he does videos, we had him shoot that, and then he ended up working on The Price of Grace. I'm sorry, What Followed Me Home and Wreckage. So that was cool.
Yeah, you guys hinted at the music video process for Wreckage being a pretty interesting process, just with being out in like kind of like middle of the streets. And I think I saw one post where it said like the cops got called or something like
Oh yeah.
that. Explain that. Like what was that like?
It was definitely like guerrilla warfare. Like we were like carrying our instruments like through the city and then like setting up in like random spots. The shot where you see Zach playing under, it looks like a parking garage and there's like construction stuff behind him. Those are the shots where he was playing full live drums. Like, I mean, he played live drums with everything, but I think he may have dampened his cymbals or did something with his kit and some of the other shots. But that shot in particular, he was playing full kit outside, and it was like midnight or so.
He plays hard too.
And there's like people like I was so nervous. I was like, yo, like chill. I was like, stop. I was like being a baby. I was like, we're in trouble, like stop. And Zach's like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm just gonna do it. So he's like wailing on his kit and like really, Zach hits so hard too. So like it was like really loud. And it sounded like gunshots with the snare. And we're in the city and it's the middle of the night. And I remember looking up at like there's like this skyscraper next to this garage that we're by, and somebody like opened their window and they were like looking down and they looked at us and they're like pointing and like yelling, but I couldn't hear them. And yeah, like quickly afterwards cops showed up and I was like, I told you guys, I told you. And like yeah, they were pretty cool. We got off with like a warning and we had to finish the shoot, so we just like got out of there. But there's one shot, it's been getting a lot of comments, where we're in this like graffitied alley and there's like profanity in the background that we didn't even see. That was like already, I mean, there was so much everything is covered in graffiti. Like, how are we gonna, find that? But when we were shooting that scene, we're playing full band, and it's crazy because this is during the pandemic, but there was a lot of people out that night. And they in this like alley, they're in front of us, like so on the other side of John. So John's shooting us this way, we're performing here. There's a whole crowd of people behind him, like I don't know, like 50 to 100 or so, like tightly compacted in this alley. I wish you would have got a shot of it, but they're just watching us, just random passerbyers, and they all like huddled up, and it was like a show. It was literally like a show.
That's awesome.
I mean, I hadn't played in over a year at that point, and I'm performing, and like I remember like the last beat of the song, and I'm like looking down, and I'm like sweating. I look up, and there's a whole crowd of people, and they're like clapping and like woo, and like I was just like. I was like, wow. I'm like, I played a show. It felt like that. I got this like rush of adrenaline, like playing live, and then like it all sunk in. I'm like, oh, I missed this. And like, it was such a strange feeling. It's so hard to explain.
That's super cool. That's awesome.
It's so trippy. Yeah, it was like a parallel universe or something, because we weren't even, I don't know. It was nuts. That whole shoot was crazy. We were just darting all over town.
That's really cool. It was a great music video. John always does a good job at shooting and everything.
Yeah, John and Daniel. So Daniel, our new bassist vocalist, him and John work together in all our new videos. Hurricane.
Didn't he technically direct the War That Followed Me Home?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I'm not Daniel or John. I can't really like give you all the details on that, but yeah, they work together on those videos.
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's looking really, really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So I know you gotta head out pretty soon, huh?
Yeah, I gotta get back with the band, because we were just having this like meeting to figure out what we're gonna do for touring this summer.
Yeah. And
potentially getting some music videos. But yeah, other than that, this is on my agenda.
Nice. Well, if you guys roll through Missouri at all, you need a place to stay, just let me know.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
And Philly,
awesome,
for sure.
Philly's like almost close enough for us to go home, but I think we're heading out east. I think the plan is to head out east, so I might hit one of you guys up. So careful what you wish for.
No,
that's fine by me.
Bunch of sweaty dudes in your house.
Yeah, fine.
That's fine. That'll work.
I mean,
It's
I'm a
seen
sweaty
worse.
dude, and I'm already in my house, so it's okay.
I do have
So-
one quick last little question.
Yeah.
When can we get test presses of this EP?
Oh, I know that I think there's a couple. I know Zach is like, I think he's gonna own one, but I think there was like 4 made maybe, but I'm not sure if I'm not sure.
Okay. Figured why not shoot my shot.
Yeah, there might, I mean, I can, after I get off this call, I can be like, hey, yo, somebody wants one. So wink, wink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. But man, we always appreciate your time and everything and your willingness to come on.
Oh no, it's a blast.
Yeah, it's
So
a good time. It's a good time, man.
It really is. Thank
Until
you
then.
so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. This is
Thank you so much.
love hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, anytime. So,
Heck yeah.
well,